I wanna try and take in all the highs, embrace them for more than a moment's time. I want you, please don't move when I push you away. I know I contradict myself some days, but will you ride the lows with me?
Welcome to Mental Health News Radio. I am your host, Kristin Sunanta Walker. Our goal is to help discussions about mental health be a regular part of your daily life, no different than discussions about physical health. Mental illness can be a topic of discussion under the umbrella of mental health, along with so many other topics. This show is the original program on mentalhealthnewsradionetwork.com. Our network of shows are played in over 180 countries and cover more topics under that umbrella than you can possibly imagine. We were talking about mental health long before it became cool and popular to talk about, and thank goodness it has become so popular. We have incredible guests, advocates, patients, experts, people. Thank you for tuning in and enjoy our intro music, a song named Lows, written by Aubrey Toon. You can find her music at www.aubreytoone.com.
That night when I started praying, I cried, will you ride the lows with me? Will you ride the lows with me? When I'm down, my vision gets blurry.
Hi, listeners. I've got a treat for you today. I'm going to let our esteemed guests introduce themselves because they'll do a much better job than I, but it's kind of a full circle moment for me anyway, and why I wanted to do this show. But first, I'd like to welcome um, Shari and Jann. Thank you for coming on the show. Again, it's been since pre-COVID.
Yes, thank you for having us.
Thank you. Good to be
Ab-
here.
Absolutely. So tell us just a little bit about yourselves.
I'll start. I'm Shari, and I've had a 32-year career as a therapist, mental health professional. My area of expertise has been in trauma, and I don't know when was it, Mom? Maybe 6 years ago.
Mhm.
I had brought Mom into several of the university classes that I was teaching because her story is pretty inspiring. And the students were just in awe of
Mm.
her story and encouraged us to write a book, which we did about 6 years ago.
Yeah.
And so now we travel around and speak on our book, Which Way?
I love that. I love that. And Jan, how's the journey been for you with everything that you do?
Yeah, I was going to say, and I've had a 76 year career in trauma,
Yeah.
at least in trying to navigate it. Um, being able so a little side story, when I was going in to talk with Sherry's, and by the way, I don't know if Sherry said I'm her mother,
Yes.
and she's my oldest daughter. But when she would have me go into her facilities and speak, she was constantly saying, Mom, you need to write a book. You need to write a book. And I said, Yeah, I'm not doing that. I am so not going to write a book. And she kept on and kept on. And I kept saying no until one day I said, Fine, but I don't know what to say, you know? And wow, through that journey, a book evolved. And it was painful. I've gone through an awful lot of therapy, and that was painful. And I thought that I had reached the pinnacle of all of that, but writing the book took me, because when you write a book, you have to go back to the sights and the smells and
Yeah.
you so that your readers can understand what you're um, saying and what you're trying to describe. So going to that depth was was horrible, but it was extremely healing for me.
How was it, anytime that you've had any, when you lay your guts out like that, how was it the first time you read any kind of critique?
Um, you mean a critique after the book came out?
Yeah, yeah, any kind of, public comments or anything that weren't as wonderful as
Yeah,
you'd want them to be. How was that? How was that for you?
come on, you got to know they were all amazing. um, you
Especially
know,
with the internet, what it is
yeah,
today.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, so, what I can speak to, we did have wonderful critiques on it, but I did find, and I think Sherry, you did too, find that we got very protective because our
Yeah,
editor that was editing it for us, um, she said, I think you should change the title. And whoa, Sherry and I both bristled at that. And ultimately, we didn't, because the whole thing that the foundation of the talks that we do, even if Sherry is speaking on, her expertise, um, we all have a choice of which way. And
right.
I could have gone so many different directions than I went. I chose to channel positive and make something from what I had been through. And which way was maybe it's not catchy. I don't really care that if it's not
Right.
a catchy title. It really is the foundation. Sherry, what do you feel about that?
Absolutely. Yeah. But in answer to your question, Kristen, it's laying out your stories like that, because I speak from, a therapist, but also the lens of a daughter that was growing up with a mother who has been horrifically traumatized. Um, that level of vulnerability is something I wasn't used to,
Mm-mm.
we had to be vulnerable with each other too,
Right.
and talk about pieces of the story that for both of us that we didn't necessarily know existed. So yeah, that was a real growth thing for both of us.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's not like we're talking about, oh, this is how you make a widget.
Right, right.
exactly.
You're talking
Yeah.
about soul excavation. Yeah, that piece is always interesting to me with what we do and how what we choose to share publicly is so personal. And I'd say at the beginning of doing podcasting, I always talked personally on my show for the last 10 years. In the beginning, there weren't, there were trolls and stuff, but not to the level that, things have gotten for everybody now. So I always ask that question, how does it feel when you're going on somewhere and you write a book or you tell a story and that's your guts on the line. It's not some made up story about somebody else. So if someone, gives you, comes at it with with their own perception, their own lens, and it's very critical. Sometimes you're like, whoa, wait a minute now. You're talking about my guts.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, that can be hard to face. I think that we have been fortunate. Hopefully we didn't just put that out in the universe. We've been
No, no, no,
really
not at all.
fortunate that people have been they're very compassionate toward my story.
Good,
Sherry is kind of laid open a little more to critique because she comes up to it. Uh, you know, people could challenge her on the things that she says, but I don't remember having that. So
good,
people have been pretty kind. What do you
Yeah.
don't?
good.
Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm.
Well,
Okay.
that's good. That's excellent. Excellent. Now, the two of you are sharing a house. You're living together, and I do now with my mom. And when I first met you guys, I wasn't speaking to my mom, and I didn't think I would ever speak to her ever again. So I thought, oh, well, this would be an interesting arc here to talk about, what those journeys are like. Um, you know, uh, I think things for me with my mom started to come to light around COVID.
Mm.
A little bit before COVID, I was in a very dangerous situation with someone in a foreign country and all these things. And they being around someone where you're kind of trapped because you're in a foreign country and they kind of go off the rails is certainly challenging. But what's good about what happened was, boy, do I know how to take care of myself. I
Good.
mean, I got myself like a ninja out of a what could have been, like, talk about which way could have been a really a bad situation. Got out of it and called my mom because
Mm.
I thought, if I can deal with this person that's not even my mom and they're just, off the rails and obviously needed a lot of help, but I was not going to provide it anymore. Um, it made me go, I don't know. I didn't even really think about it. I just called my mom.
Wow.
And I was
Yeah.
halfway across the world calling her. I wasn't calling to be rescued. I got myself out of that whole situation. But I remember the first thing I said was, Mom, am I talking to you? Like, is it you? Because
Mm.
she had been with someone, married someone who was bad news, and bad news for many people. My mom was on a long line of people that had been hurt through this person. And so the is it you I'm talking to was because, like any seasoned kind of cult leader type personality, no one could get to my mom. No
Mm.
one could. She was so bedazzled by this person that you could not get to her. And the one person that this mate targeted first to get them out of my mom's life was me.
Mm.
And it worked for a while. But anyway, it's interesting when you're around that kind of like super narcissistic, legitimately diagnosed narcissistic personality disorder, how they can clamp onto someone and then you don't know where that person is.
So
And you
true.
can't reach them because they're so bedazzled. So that was the first thing I said was, am I reaching you, Mom? I'm calling
Mm.
you from halfway across the world, well, all the way across the world. I want to talk to you.
Wow.
Good
And that
question.
was the beginning of us finding our way slowly, um, back to each other after a huge rift. And those things are hard.
Yeah.
They are, but it can be kind of like a broken bone. You know, when it mends, it's even stronger
Absolutely.
than it ever was. Wow. How on earth did you make the leap from that to having her live in your safe place?
Well, I just took all the training that I've had doing all these shows and interviewing every expert I can out there, and having my own kinds of people in my life, like this person I went to a foreign country with that were very narcissistic, very wanting something from you, all that kind of thing. I took all the tools that I had learned through a lot of therapy and all these shows where I've interviewed every expert, and I put them all to use. I made myself be really objective about my own life.
Mm.
So, you know how they talk about, oh, well, put that therapist, your therapist on your shoulder.
Hmm.
And that's like the angel on your shoulder telling you, okay, don't go this way, go this way.
Hmm.
Okay, this is what's happening here. I was actually able to be objective. and go, okay, we got to get to work. This something, whatever I fell for the breaking up of our family. I got caught up in that. So did everybody else in our entire family. So did all the friends, everything. If I go and everybody gave up,
Mm,
including me, because I really didn't know what was really at the heart of the issue. There's always family pain,
Mm.
and you can choose to go back and deal with that or not. There's always that because that's part of our growth and healing here as human beings. But when someone else is there stoking those fires, it takes that pain to a whole new level.
Right.
And so I guess I grew up. I went, okay, I can be mad, I can blame, I can be, unforgiving, and I have a long list of here's all the reasons. And I can say, okay, and I need to get to the other side of this. And the only way to do it is through.
Right.
So I just dug in. And then when I dug in, I realized this is how much trouble my mom is actually in. This is a
wow.
life or death situation that she cannot get out of herself because she's so in it. And she has no one, because what are these kind of people good at? They're the best at isolating you and
Absolutely.
making you feel like you have nobody but them. That is what domestic, violence abusers and so on do.
Oh, for sure.
Isolation. Yeah. And so I just went about the course over, it took 10 months of my consistent presence for that person to, as we like to say, the trash took itself out.
Mm. Wow.
And then we became the formidable, there is nothing getting through this. I'm a linebacker. She's a linebacker. You are not getting through this. I don't care who you are and what voodoo you have. You've just reached the Rock of Gibraltar, and we're not leaving. You are.
Mm.
Is she grateful today?
Yeah, absolutely. But it took a long time, it seemed like, to it takes a long time, and Sherry, you know this from all the counseling you've done. It takes a long time for somebody to wake up
Right.
from that kind of someone taking over their lives like that.
Mm.
You are truly dealing with what people deal with when they're trying to remove someone from a cult.
Hmm.
Well, I when you do that, for I mean, I was in a narcissistic situation as well, and you also have to deal with so like your mom and me, for instance, we have to deal with what was so broken about me that I could have fallen for this. I could
Right.
have been okay with this for so long. Why didn't I see it? There's a lot of guilt
Yeah.
that has to be uh, uncovered and let go of.
Mm.
Absolutely. That I think was the hardest for her. I would be begging her. We would make like two steps forward, and man, they were pivotal, and then that would be too much, and then
Mm,
she'd reel back 10 steps.
Mm.
And just the persistence of, okay, I'm not going to let that get me down. We'll start back with the baby steps.
Mm.
mm. Wow.
Because yeah, if you push too hard, somebody will retreat even further.
Right. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
So yeah, it was tough. I think what was helpful, Jan, for me was that I had been in those kinds of relationships. And
Mm.
now I always wondered, why have I been in so many? Well, obviously I had a lot of my own trauma to work through, and
Right.
now sometimes I think I was in that many because I needed every horrible example possible to give me as many tools as possible to help mom with this one?
And
Mm.
that could be what that was about, for sure. Narcissists are really hard to to knock down. I mean that wall is uh, unbelievably thick. And and we are unbelievably captivated, you know.
Yes.
So
Yeah, their poison is just for you.
for
Mm.
sure, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, it was really, really super challenging. And it's it's been, gosh, about 7 months since getting away, getting out of the same area, having a completely different life and cutting off all contact. It's been about 7 months to get all the legal stuff handled and everything. And even still, sometimes I get a twinge of, is this person going to show back up and my mom's going to just welcome them in? But that those feelings are fewer and fewer and further in between
Mm.
the longer that we're away from it, because it's scary. It's a scary thing, but we're closer than we've ever been.
Oh, that's wonderful.
So when you guys are working with people and listening to other people's stories, I would imagine people have come to you like I did and say, there's no hope.
Mhm.
It's done. How do you approach that?
Oh, like with a relationship, with a,
Yeah, well,
yeah.
like with, yeah, where you have a rift with a family member, your parents, whoever it is, and they're just like, it will never be repaired.
Mm. That's so hard. I mean, I think there's an element of having to, you know, one of the things that I've really been delving into lately with some of my clients is that shadow work that some of us need to do. So, in other words, if we're looking at a situation, family member, let's say, family member rift, um, we can come at it from a place of doubt, from a place of judgment, a place of blame. Um, resentment, all of that. And those are the shadows that we all carry around. And frankly, they're
Right,
human emotions that we need to feel. It's the staying stuck there that that keeps us captive, right? That keeps us prisoners of our own lives. So so looking at what is the light to the shadow, okay? So um the light to the shadow of fear is I've got confidence that God or the universe has got this handled. The light to the shadow of doubt is imagining what it possibly could look like one day instead of all the won'ts, right? Instead of all the, it'll never be healed kind of thing. The
right,
light to judgment is discernment and realizing that we only have a slice of the picture, not the whole picture. We're not in that person's shoes. Um, and then finally the light to blaming a family
right.
member is accountability and looking at what do I need to be accountable for here, even if I need to be accountable to setting healthy boundaries. Do you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we have to, that's, I think, the biggest piece. And I'll use um, people who are dealing with a parent that has dementia and they're a caretaker. They start this caretaker role. What I have noticed, because I'm in that role now, what I have noticed is it's more about a lot of it I see with the groups that I'm in and have been participated in and so on. A lot of the challenge seems to be around the caretaker, their own fears of aging, of
Mm,
all of those things, and bringing that to the table and then forgetting, well, we're dealing with a person and this is their experience in life and this is what they're going through. And yes, it's about you, but how much of your fear is going to get
mm,
in the way of actually enjoying this experience because it's a stage of life. And I look at that in healing rifts as well. It's like
right.
how much of this anger or resentment or hate or bitterness or whatever it is my stuff that I really need to examine and take accountability for and heal so that I can so that when I'm really working on stuff that's with this other person that I'm caretaking or I'm in a relationship with, that I'm coming at it from a place, my most well place, so that
Right.
we really can have some good healing here. Does that make
Right.
sense?
Oh, it does. Well said. Yeah.
Yeah, that's been the biggest thing, the biggest challenge. My mom and I were impenetrable, but with a lot of problems. Like
Mm,
we've had other people try to separate the two of us over the years. We've had other people try, and nobody could ever get past us. And then somebody did.
mm,
And that happening, not that I am going to go thank this person for what they did to our family. And there's still rifts out there with other members of the family that maybe will get worked on, maybe won't. But my mom and I got a lot of our stuff in being broken. What needed to happen for us to heal generations of mother-daughter trauma, generations, was for us to get completely broken.
mm.
That's a classic example of something good coming out of something that was very bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
sometimes it has to get
Oh, yeah.
life and death. I mean, that is how stubborn we were. I mean, it had to get to the point where someone is literally going to die here.
Right.
Or so you better get over yourself, meaning
Hmm.
me. I better get over myself and realize, and same with my mom, like this is that serious. So we're gonna give up, or are we gonna keep on plunging through? And then there's the aftermath, because then there's all the feelings that come up from this pain that you went through together, the very pain that brought you closer. Well, you've got to heal from that.
Oh, I know.
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah, you're exactly right. And it, I think sometimes we get to the point that you don't ever forget the pain that caused the breakup in the beginning. I mean, that's always there, and quite frankly, it's a part of each of you,
Right.
the whatever that pain was. Um, but you can shut the door and go forward. And and yes, it's there, but you can't change it. You can
Right.
just try to find a new a new place to be in with that person.
Yeah, that's the interesting part too. And then you get all of, I mean, mothers and daughters that is some stories for the ages in every mother-daughter relationship.
Oh, exactly. Yeah.
100%. I mean,
So
mom
much.
and I, when we wrote the book and started speaking together, really had to look at some epigenetic trauma that obviously she had been playing out, that then got passed on to me, and I played out then with my own child. And we really had to have some honest, brutal conversations with each other about that in order to speak on it well.
Yeah, how do you guys, I mean, those brutal conversations, oh boy, have I sat through in the last few years. I've sat through those throughout my life, as I know you guys have, but then those with your mom, there's something that elevates it to another level.
100%.
Because you're talking, it's not even the same for a mother and a son or a father and a daughter. Those are all important conversations too, obviously, but there's something about that father son connection and that mother daughter connection that is so like to your marrow.
Mm, yeah.
Yeah. So talk to me about that for you guys, that getting to the inside your bones kind of stuff that you've got to dig through in these relationships.
I think for me, it's been how do I get out of the roles that I've played with mom in the past? How
Right.
does she get out of her roles that she's had with me so we can have a heart-to-heart conversation? So, mom has always loved me so well and been such a wonderful parent to me and has worried about my safety. There's a lot of anxiety that surrounds mom. So a lot of worry about me and encouraging her to step out of that, encouraging myself to step out of, there's been an element of me having to emotionally take care of mom when I was younger because when she was going through all of her therapy and remembering things that she had sort of dissociated from, she was a wreck, as you can imagine.
Yep.
And my dad had checked out, so my sister was too little, so it kind of fell to me to make sure she was okay and to worry about her. There were suicide attempts and things like that. So it was this, I'm so worried about my mom. I have to make sure she's okay. And so long-winded answer here, stepping out of all those roles, so that we can just speak to each other's hearts about what we need. Because we do fight, we do have disagreements. And if she can not sit there and take care of me, and I cannot take care of her, but we can just speak from our hearts to each other, we get to a resolve much faster. What do you think, Mom?
I absolutely think that. I think, I don't know if you've noticed, Sherry, but in actually, I'm going to say like in the last 6 months, um, we can make a comment. Okay, I mean, I'm just making this up right now, but well, that was kind of snippy. And then you saying, oh, okay, yeah, I guess it kind of was. Um, I didn't like your comment or whatever. And boom, we are off to having a glass of wine right after that. We're all good. We don't, because when Sherry would try to tell me um, something that, she felt like I had done wrong or she didn't agree with her, you know, I that went so deep for me
Yes.
because it was like, oh my word, Sherry thinks I've made a mistake. And oh my gosh, I am a mistake.
Yes. Oh
You
my
know,
God. Absolutely.
so now, so maybe it's growth on my part as well, that that we uh, can have those, and I can go, whoops, I messed up there, and I don't take it to the core of my identity, you know.
Yeah, that's so funny. When my son would, this helped me with that relationship too. When my anybody could say anything to me and it's,
Yes.
whatever, there's a way to have it roll off somewhere, right? I can muster the strength to from a troll to a family member to whatever. I can find a way to boop, keep moving on without much without much kneecapping, right? But if my son said something, it wasn't like he was piercing my heart. It was like he was inside of my heart and destroying it from the inside out.
Oh, exactly.
Oh,
Just squeezing all the blood out of it. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And I have even gotten to a place with him because of this. I had to be objective during this thing. I had to be objective about myself, about her. I had to sit and know that, oh, these are the 5 stages. I'm just making up stages, but these are the stages of healing from a relationship that has this level of emotional abuse. I know what those stages are because I've lived through them myself. And now I've got to watch my mom go through those stages and know that, okay, at this stage, at level 2, I can push this way and this way, but I can't push this other way because we'll never get to stage 3. and then go to stage 3 and watch what's happening. It's kind of interesting to be in a position where you're forced to be that level of objectivity with the the person in your life that you have the hardest time being objective about, your
Right.
parents and your child, right? Like that's the
Right.
hardest thing. So to force yourself to do that, it's like the ultimate way of realizing as a kid, oh, my parent is a person.
Mhm.
Like that realization escapes so many people. It is, it escapes so many people. Your parents are people.
Right.
They're not infallible. They're three-dimensional.
Mm.
They have all this pain and whatever, and you've got some of that too. And let's try, you wouldn't be so angry with a stranger on the street for this, so why are you so angry with your mom? Like the ideals that you're holding up are unrealistic. Many of those ideals coming from her onto me, so we had a lot of that stuff too. But it's interesting to then live with my mom, and she sees exactly who I am. Like every great thing and every not wonderful thing.
Right.
And the same for me with her. And for me to go, right, she's a human being. She's
Yeah.
just like me. I'm being so unfair
Mhm.
Mm.
sometimes,
Yep.
and vice versa. Coming to those, I don't know. I think I heard Whoopi Goldberg say it on The View once. She said, "Well, when you wait for your kids to get grown up enough that they see you as a person."
Yeah,
And so,
Well, that's
exactly.
true. When you were talking before you said seeing your mom as a person, what kept coming to my mind is I think you have to not forget that inside the mind of a person with dementia is that person.
right.
Regardless of what's going on in the present world right now for them, inside she's in there. She's still in there. And she just may not know how to express herself anymore.
Yeah,
Uh,
and it was a race. It was a race to get her out of the situation she was in before the dementia completely made it was going to a place where it would have been impossible.
Mm.
I
oh,
mean,
wow.
even doctors saying if you don't keep doing what you're doing and put this pressure on, you, they will stay stuck here. There's so much trauma, and with what's going on with dementia and everything, that
Wow.
you've got, this is life or death. You've got to, I don't know. All I can say is every ounce of strength that I didn't even know I had is what was needed to get mom out of this situation. And, she did 80% of that work. It's just, but just to do the bit that I did to help,
Mm.
was just, whoo, it was bigger than our anger at each other.
Mm.
Oh, wow. Very painful, but yay.
Oh, yes, so painful. Oh my gosh. But it's interesting, we can survive a lot. I mean, think about everything you guys have already survived in your life, and you're here.
Absolutely.
Right.
I think we just sort of we know we're strong, blah, 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 but you get going on with daily life and you tend to forget what a warrior you actually are.
Right.
Exactly.
100%.
Yeah. And that needs to be celebrated as well.
Absolutely. And it's great when you guys are together. I'm together with my mom. It's much easier for us to celebrate that right now. Like, look at what we did. We do these
Mm.
milestones. Okay, where were a year ago today?
Mm.
We were still living in that house. We still had the police coming every week or so. We still were in this legal fight of our lives. We still were dealing with all this where we didn't know, are we going to be alive or dead at the end of this, because we're dealing with, somebody that unstable. And look at where we are now.
Is she able to feel and or express the comfort she receives in having you nearby?
Oh my gosh, absolutely. To the point where I get uncomfortable because I can't handle too much like praise.
Praise.
Yeah.
Okay, that's some work you need to do.
Yeah, totally, totally. I could handle it at a narcissistic level a few years ago because I got all this praise heaped on me for the network. And yeah, I ate it all up. And then it went through this and went, oh my gosh, okay, that little spark of narcissism that you had there, Kristen, I'm glad that's gone because it wasn't very attractive and it wasn't uncomfortable and it was so uncomfortable. But yeah, yeah, I still have to work on that. Like,
Mhm.
it's okay to say you did a good job.
Yeah.
Oh
Right?
yeah. And to
That you're,
receive that. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, the receiving of it and receiving it from places that matter because you can get a lot of praise out there from people who want something from you, which is okay. That's part of the human race. You can get lots of praise outside of yourself if you position yourself there, and you realize when you go through something like what we've all been through what real praise is. Does that make
Mm.
sense?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Well,
All that. Yeah.
you're making a huge difference in her life. I'm glad that she's able to, and she's probably making a huge difference in your life. I mean,
Oh,
she's,
absolutely.
yeah. And, I'm glad that she's able to communicate that to you and, and you to her.
Yeah, it's funny, you guys still have your mother-daughter things. We do too. Just even this morning, I had to go, Mom, the worry energy. That was funny when Sherry, you were talking about that. That worry energy is so big. I'm like, Mom, it's almost as big as a whole other person. So, like, there's three people in our relationship. There's me, there's you, and then there's this ball of worry.
Yes.
It's as big as another person, and I want it I want to de-age that. I want to bring that down to a smaller and smaller person because it carries a lot of energy with it. And I'm
Yeah.
used to just letting that seep into my bones. And I've had to learn how to not allow that. And while also going, and who do I do that to? Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. No doubt. That's so funny. We had that exact conversation this weekend.
Did
Um,
you?
and I think I said, Mom, your anxiety is so big it can suck the life out of a room. And how do we, and I get it, I get where that's from, but how do we lessen the energy that that has? Um,
Right.
because that can be stifling in life. So that's,
It can. It can. And what helps too is like figuring out I I have allowed my own freak flag to fly much more often because boy, we get good in life at like masking who we really are to fit into our perception of what's normal or acceptable. And the more I've been in this bubble with her, the more I've just been kind of letting myself hang out how I am,
mm,
which is very freeing, but it's also made me go, oh, I got a lot of that anxiety too. Like,
yeah.
me hearing a funny noise in the garage of this new house. And suddenly I'm thinking that the pipes are going to burst and the whole house is going to explode and roll down a hill. That's my own. I can't blame that on her.
Right, right.
That's all me. And I don't know, that ability, you have this mirror living
Yeah,
right there with you that shows you so much about yourself and also your differences.
right.
But there's real gold, there's real value in looking at where it aligns with how you are too and going, well, look, I can be mad at mom for behaving that way, which I can and do get upset, but I also can go, I guess I start to look at myself here too, maybe.
Mhm. Absolutely. Yeah, a mother-daughter relationship can be incredibly difficult at times and incredibly insightful and healing about not only the relationship, but ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely. It informs you
Mm,
so much in the way you perceive things, and you know, and it makes me more patient, when I'm asked the same thing because of the dementia, 20 times a day. Towards the end of the day, I'm like, maybe I have sundowner syndrome because I have no patience by 5 o'clock. But to
yeah.
find where that is, because you can dig deep enough to go, you can have more patience. Bedtime is 3 to 4 hours away. You can hold it together and answer that same question five more times. It's not going to kill you
Right.
because it's a new
Yeah.
it's a new question to mom.
Right.
So it's
Well,
not
that's a
hurting.
good
It's
point.
not hurting her. It's only irritating me.
Yeah, it's a whole lot less energy on your part used to just answer it again than
Right.
to get angry about it.
And the things that we have all talked about. I mean, this is, your career, like, helping people understand these things, what we do to ourselves, that where we are contributing to our own discomfort,
Right.
and being able to say, here's how you're contributing without shaming someone for feeling the way that they do, without getting snide, without all these things that we as human beings can get in and get really dirty with all that kind of stuff and get messy and in the muck, and then realizing, okay, I'm doing all that to myself. Like there's
Yeah.
nobody else involved in that, just me. And I have a choice. Which way
Mhm.
do I want to go with this?
Right.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Well said, Kristen.
How has it had an impact on the rest of your family? You guys having this close relationship and everything. How do you see a kind of a ripple effect of that in your family as a whole?
Uh,
I think with my younger daughter, who now lives in Arizona, um, I think there's some jealousy, if she were honest about it. I tried to be very intentional, um, to letting her know that, my relationship with her, it is different,
Right.
but I'm there for her 100%. So I do think there's some, if she were honest about it, she's never spoken that, but I think she probably envies what Shari and I have. But Shari and I have worked hard to
Yeah.
have the bond that we have.
yeah.
Um, and we've been intentional about that as well. So, Shari, what do you
Oh,
feel?
100% agree. Um, I think when my son's frontal lobe is completely developed, um, I think he will start to manifest some of that in his own life with his own children. Um, because I think there was power growing up seeing,
Hmm.
um, his grandma and his mother be so close and have that intentionality with each other and fight, but be able to make up well. And I think that'll be one of the epigenetic things in a good
Mhm.
way that we were able to pass down.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Yeah, we're getting into the science of things too here. I love that. That's true. You never really know the kind of ripple effects that really hard work. I mean, and that's what's interesting too. These relationships aren't easy,
Mm-mm.
but it's
Right.
the going through them, the moving through them, the choosing to do that hard work that makes it as rich as it is. And I think you do get to a point where you've been through so much, you've done so much work together, you've laid such a foundation that um you do get past a point of being able to break.
Mm. Yeah.
Even with family dust ups and family drama and this or that, like you do get to a point where you've tipped the scales over enough to where, okay, this unit here is solid. And that has a ripple effect throughout an entire family. You don't even know, like it could be a cousin or a second cousin or something that later says, because of what you guys did, it really inspired me. And I'm like, what?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I had no idea. You're hardly a part of our lives, but I'm grateful. Thank you for sharing that with me. I'm happy for you because you decided to dig in and do the work.
Right.
Absolutely. And I think that there's times that we don't even realize the impact, um, not only with family, but with other people that, we come across.
Right.
There's an impact. And, anytime you can positively impact someone or inspire them, the better. You feel like, okay, job well done.
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely, absolutely. And you can dip out, there's nothing that says you have to stay doing the same thing and be the same way for everybody else to be okay. Like you can literally just pull your whole life back and go to the mat and change everything and kind of dip out of every other part of life to focus on this big thing that's going on. And I don't know. I think a lot of people are afraid of change because they're afraid that they're going to lose everything. And that's
Right.
where their comfort zone is if we don't make too many waves, if we don't. And sometimes, you know what, you got to just make the waves and you can completely pull back from how your life has been and make it something completely different. And the people that are there when when you are in it and dipping out and coming back out of it, those are the ones that are, meant to stay in your life. And the other ones are off doing their own thing. It doesn't have to be this. I'm probably not explaining this well.
No, you are,
Yeah.
and you're exactly right.
Agreed.
Yeah, it's kind of amazing. But I want our listeners to know where they can find out more about you guys, listen to your show, and so please tell them where can they find out more about the two of you.
So our website is thetraumaspeakers.com. And that's where, we've got a list of, upcoming trainings and seminars we're doing, and our TED Talk is on there, and
Love it.
our, podcasts and all of that. So yeah, thetraumaspeakers.com.
And our book, you can either get the book "Which Way" with a question mark on Amazon. I think is it still available on the website?
Mm-hmm.
Is,
It is.
or available on the website.
Fantastic. Yeah. It's such a good book for all you listeners. Like it's not just a mother-daughter relationship. It's that, but it's also so much bigger than just that. So I highly, highly, highly recommend reading the book. But thank you both so much for agreeing to come on the show and do this sort of recap after, I don't know, 3 years, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It was wonderful. Thank you so much for having us.
Yes, Kristin, thank you.
Absolutely. And listeners, thank you so much for tuning in, and we will catch you on the next show.
But will you ride the low, low, lows with me? Will you ride the low, low, lows with me?
One thing you can always count on at Mental Health News Radio Network and my show is that there will always be dogs around. Why? They are natural healers, excellent for your mental health. The original therapy dog Miles has something to say in just a moment. For now, please check out all of our amazing shows at mentalhealthnewsradionetwork.com and all your favorite podcast apps. Until next time, I'm Kristin Sananta Walker, and thank you for listening.
And I can ride the low, low, lows with me. I can ride the low